This FedGov Today program is sponsored by EY. On this edition of FedGov Today with Francis Rose, getting the next big transformation right the first time. Healthcare tech gets a makeover inside HHS and making the people piece of healthcare work better. Welcome to FedGov Today in Washington, D.C., on YouTube and around the world on the American Forces Network. I'm George Jackson. Francis Rose is off today. The Office of Personnel Management will lead a transformation of more than 100 HR systems across government into one. It's the first of what the Trump administration promises will be a series of system modernizations, major ones. George Kaczmarskyj is Principal, Government and Public Sector at EY. Sir, welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk LCAPs, low-code application platforms. What are those? How does it sort of weave into HR, finance, IT, other government operations?
Yeah, great. George, thanks for having me. It's good to be back. You know, low-code application platforms have really taken a change to the way we do application modernization. We saw a lot of adoption in the commercial sector, financial services early on, and it gave another option on how to approach doing technology development. And so we saw in banking, for example, when banks merged together, we had to rationalize two different systems. What's the best way to do it? And you had lots of options. We could custom engineer code. We could buy a platform that existed that had the functionality in ERP or a core banking system, or we could take advantage of low-code application platforms. And it really came down to what use case you were trying to solve for, which platform you used. But the interesting thing about the low-code platforms was they brought a speed of development that we didn't see in the other areas. And so, you know, the biggest advantage and the biggest reason we saw commercial uptake in it, and now we're seeing it in government, is because the minutes to mission matter. How long it took for us to get from an idea, a requirement, to production is accelerated through a low-code platform, and that's where it got a lot of attention. But then there were other variables that became interesting. We had a real big resource gap in finding developers in financial services. Finding full-stack custom engineers that worked in, you know, the coolest technologies was difficult. They were expensive. They were being taken by, you know, the innovation firms, by the product development firms, by Silicon Valley, and getting and attracting them was difficult. You paid a premium for it. But the cost of entry into a low-code platform for a developer was low. And so we were able to attract and build business applications quickly with those platforms. So those were a couple of things that really got attention and brought the industry to using it, and then it's become a mainstream capability.
You referenced, didn't use these words, George, but speed to mission. Another thing in studying up on LCAPs that I kept coming across was the phrase consistent user interface. Why is that important?
Yeah, so when you are a developer and you're trying to develop a custom application, you have a lot of liberty in how you can design that. You have flexibility, and you may be really good at it, or you may not be. The low-code platforms have inherent consistency in the user interface. And what's really fun about that is you can drive stakeholder engagement throughout the application development process, because say you ask me, I want this requirement, I can very quickly in the low-code platform prototype it right here in the meeting in a couple seconds. And so what that allows us to do is to build the application not just faster, but according to what your expectations are. And then because of the design of the platform and the standards that are put in place and the commonality of the screens, it all flows through equally through the platform, and so it makes it a little easier.
I mentioned HR at the top, certainly applicable there, but as we were talking before we went on the air, you've done a lot of work on these integrations in sort of the FedFin, the federal financial space.
Yeah.
Help us, you know, for those agency leaders, avoid some common pitfalls for integrations. What should they avoid?
Yeah, so the problem with integrations is if you have to build 1,000 of them. We have thousands of systems in the agencies, and we want to take one out and modernize it and put a new one back in. I have to integrate it with hundreds, thousands, a couple, it doesn't matter, but that's all effort. And that is all, an opportunity for failure, an opportunity for mistakes, et cetera. What's nice about some of these low-code platforms is they come with pre-built integrations to the most prevalent products out there. So if you have a CRM, a manufacturing system, an HR system, a financial system, and I need to integrate and talk to it from the application, I have pre-built integrations available to me, and then I don't have to rebuild them from scratch. Getting that right is important because that's where the data exchange happens. That's where all the business rules get confirmed between the two systems, and it's ripe for mistakes. So if I can have someone that's already pre-built and tested and just use it, it helps a lot with the process.
If I'm in IT and I don't want to remake the wheel on some of these issues, can I go to a different agency and leverage the way that they've been coding in order to do this at my organization? And what I'm getting at, George, is like reuse. Once these are built successfully, are agencies able to take cues from one another so that what's already been built can be leveraged with a minimal amount of work?
That's the aspiration. That's what we really hope to get to. I think this is one of the interesting learnings we've seen over the years of using low-code platforms. Is just because it's low-code doesn't mean I can't build a bad application, right? And that can be daunting. So on the concept of reuse, one of the lessons learned we have is from the very early days, you want to go ahead and design an application for reuse. Now, whether it can be reused across agencies depends on the application, but certainly within an agency and across a portfolio of applications in the same domain or same function, that becomes a real big opportunity for us to take advantage of.
As we close, artificial intelligence, elephant in the room in all of these conversations, why is it important to LCAPS?
So the artificial intelligence thing is becoming really pragmatic right now in application development, whether it's in low-code application development or custom. We are seeing significant gains in productivity tools being made available to the developers. What's nice about the low-code platforms now is they are natively integrating those capabilities into their product across the entire software development lifecycle. So for requirements, for coding, for testing, even in production, those tools are now available, and I can take and do things in a fraction of the time I did before. I can load user requirement documents, I can load screens, I can load data into the tool, and it can start by building the application, and then I can tweak it and take it forward. So that's a trend that's available now. Most of the low-code platforms have that capability being developed or are already pretty well along, and we can use that. We can see gains from that today. The other interesting development we're seeing, and I don't know that it's completely mainstream, but I would think in the next 12, 18, 24 months, we're seeing utilities come available in the market that allow us to ingest an existing application in one low-code platform, bring it in, convert it, and get you ahead into a migration into another low-code platform. And why that becomes really important is it provides an agency flexibility, but more importantly, it reduces the possibility of vendor lock risk long-term. So that's an exciting development. More to come. I'd cautiously evaluate it and expect that it'll be available to us soon.
We'll stay on top of it with George Kaczmarskyj, EY. Sir, thanks so much.
Wonderful to be here. Thanks.
You can read more about system modernization on today's show page at fedgovtoday.com.